watching a film with friends, missing VHS videotape repeating.
Welcome back, creeps and fam, peeps and crew. Paradise Lost 2, Revelations. Also known as Revelations, Paradise Lost 2, depending on where you look. Emmy Award nominee, the acclaimed HBO documentary film about the Robin Hood Hills murders, Paradise Lost 2 Revelations, a film by Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky. The only thing more riveting than the original is the sequel, Time Out magazine. Horrifying and fascinating, as disturbing as the film can be, the New York Times. Docudrama released this one. Again, I do believe it aired on HBO first, and then it came out through Docudrama. 3 children murdered, 3 teenagers convicted, 1 question remains. Is the real killer still free? Yes. Paradise Lost 2 Revelations, a film by Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky. Horrific, disturbing, and absolutely fascinating, the Emmy-nominated Paradise Lost 2 Revelations revisits the chilling saga from HBO's award-winning hit Paradise Lost: The Child Murders at Robin Hood Hills. Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky returned to West Memphis, Arkansas to re-examine the controversial story of the most notorious murder case in the state's history, revealing startling new evidence and exploring the ironies and ambiguities of a mystery that refuses to go away. 2 thumbs up, very important, one of the most disturbing films we've seen, Roger Ebert and the movies. Engrossing, a must-see, Entertainment Weekly. Winner of the National Council on Crime and Delinquency Pass Award. So, Docurama, new video. Now, this is one that I tracked down, I think, in the mid-2000s. When I was getting back into the case back in like maybe 2006, 2007. 2007, there was like this 2-hour-long like new DNA press conference keynote that they put out. So it kind of got a lot of people really interested in the case. And so I remember tracking this one down. Because I think there's a DVD set of the first 2 that came out. So I had that. Of course, I had the VHS from the first one we've seen on the channel. But I tracked this one down just to have VHS of both of them, even though I had the DVDs already. But this one I think I got off eBay, so it's from some video store somewhere else. Video Adventure, Evanston and Highland Park. Don't know where that is. If you do, let me know. So it's just nice having them together. Damien, Jesse, and Jason. What's interesting about this one is this movie tells you that the whole courtroom drama of the first one is pretty much moot, because there's just a monk. What's the term? Kangaroo court. None of it made sense. It was just ridiculous. And then there's stuff in this movie that you think people are lying about, and they focus so much on so many different things in this movie. And then 10 years later, 12 years later, when the third one came out, it basically wipes away everything in this movie, and everything you thought you learned from this one that disproved things in the first one, the third one disproves a bunch of things in the second one. And this one has a whole bunch to do with like bite mark evidence and all this kind of stuff. And you think this one guy did it because there's bite marks on the kids. And there's one guy who they think did it, had his teeth removed right around the same exact time that the bite mark evidence was coming out. And then like some forensic odontologist says they weren't human bite marks. And as watching it, you're like, screw you, yes they are. And then the third movie you realize, no, they weren't human bite marks, they were something else. So it's just such a weird trilogy of movies. And it's just sad that it's based on actual events. So this came out 2000, right around the same time that Joe Berlinger put out put out Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Now this one and Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 are almost like siblings in their own way, because they both kind of start out with an MTV News update, and they kind of talk about, like this one starts with news updates talking about the success of the first movie, Paradise Lost. Just like in Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, they talk about, there's news updates and everything talking about the success of the Blair Witch Project. So they're very similar, the way that they're styled. It's almost like he styled Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 off of Paradise Lost 2. It's interesting if you understand what it is, but like kind of like Blair Witch 2, most people didn't like it. But I do like this movie a lot. It's interesting because this one's one that kind of documents the people who started the Free West Memphis 3 movement. I forget the names off the top of my head, but the people who designed the T-shirt, raised money, would go there and spend time with the guys and do everything they can to get these guys, new trials and to keep the story going. And if it weren't for, one, for this movie, most people wouldn't know about the story. And then for this one, it's the people who started the West Memphis 3 website and all that. Kathleen, what's the name? It's not on the back at all. There's like fireworks going on outside my apartment. There's little kids screaming. It literally sounds like they're being murdered, which is kind of ironic that I'm doing it during these videos. If you haven't seen this trilogy, definitely check it out. Even if you know what happens to these guys in the end, 2011 to today, it still doesn't really make the story any less interesting to see how they got to where they're at. But out of the 3 movies, this is probably the least interesting out of all of them. Because the third one kind of gives you a conclusion without a real conclusion. The first one's interesting because it's where it all began. Nevertheless, the whole trilogy is an insane watch. Kind of wish that the third one was out on VHS, but they didn't do that in 2012. So, do you know anything about these movies? Do you know anything about Jesse Miss Kelly, Jason Baldwin, Damian Eccles? Do you know anything about the Paradise Lost trilogy? Joe Berlinger, Bruce Sinofsky, those guys? Because those guys, Bruce Sinofsky and Joe Berlinger, they're actually the ones that did the Metallica some kind of monster documentary. And just like in that movie, how the documentary that they're making on Metallica, they become part of the documentary because the making of the documentary is probably part of the problems that the guys were having. That's an issue in this too, because the movie Paradise Lost starts to affect the trial, and these guys trying to get new trials. And the first movie brought a bunch of attention, but then they also brought up more problems. You know what I mean? It's like it helped people look at it, but then now that people are looking at it, it's affecting it. You know. Nevertheless, Paradise Lost 2 Revelations. Let me know what you guys think. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time.